3 things. What if I told you there was only 3 things you had to work on as a baseball player to get better? You got people telling you work on this, work on that, do this, do that. You feel like you got all this stuff to work on. What if I told you there's just 3 things? Those 3 things I'm about to go over right in this video right now. Belief, physical reps, mental reps. Those are the only 3 things you got to work on as a baseball player to succeed. Now I need you to like this video and share it. All right, because sharing knowledge is just as good as knowing knowledge. If you know it and you share it, that's how we grow the game. All right, grow the game, because how I see it, it's not how everyone else sees it. All right, and I'm about to break that down in this video. You about to get some tips. All right, 3 things. That's all you need to know. Here we go. Watch the video. All right, here we go. So Triad of Becoming a successful baseball player. Okay, there's a lot of things I can play into this, right? But I'm gonna focus on 3, obviously, by Triad. So first, you got physical. Okay, we'll circle back to that. We got mental. Circle back to that. We got belief. Okay, these 3 things are essential to you becoming the player that you want to be, right? You don't want to just be a player. You don't want to just be a good player, no skill. You want to be the player, okay? You want to be the player on the top of the hill while everyone else is wondering, how did you get so good, okay? And the reason I'm describing this is because that's where I was, right? That's how I was. I was, a good player, above average player, and I became the player. And everyone's kind of like curious how it happens, right? Everyone thinks it's kind of like when it comes to success in baseball, everyone thinks that it's kind of like a luck thing, right? That everything just played into your favor, that nothing else that you could dictate happened for you. It was really just like right person, right time, everything clicked for you, right? But I like to disagree, right? So I'd now like to break up this video with a advertisement for my 2 digital ebooks at undiscoveredprospects.com. 4 corners of hitting fundamentals, 5 transformational pillars of hitting, $28 for the one, $20 for the other, $50. What is $50? $50 is not as much as you spend on gear. $50 is not as much as a $150 wood bat. It's not as much as the cleats, right? What does $50 get you? It gets you everything that took me from a good player to a great player, from a good player to an All-American player, right? Undiscoveredprospects.com. It took me from a 387 average to a 411, right? 28 games played to 44 games played. Look at those at-bats, difference. Obviously, I was playing better. 21 runs to over double, 59 runs scored, doubled my hits, almost doubled my doubles. No triples, 5 triples. 3 home runs and 12 home runs, doubled my RBIs, slugged it way better, right? Walked more, got on base more, 1 out of every 2 times. Every other at bat I was getting on base, right? And I stole the bases very well. So I was a run producer, run scorer, everything you want to do in a career, right? What are you getting in these ebooks? You're getting the 4 things that made me an All-American hitter: the coil, scap loading, hands, timing. Then bonus content, detail about the process. The process will lead you into the 5 transformational pillars of hitting, right? How to coach yourself, how to have better pitch selection, how to have better pattern recognition, how to make mental cues, mental framework for physical training, right? Because that's essential to being a great baseball player. Bonus, I give you a 4-month mastery, how to use all of these things in 4 months to go from where you're at right now to a better place in the future, right? So why not? Why not buy these 2 ebooks? What's stopping you from being a better player? $50, not as much as those cleats, man. First one we talked about was physical. Physical, right? What can you work on physically? Now, I like to think of this as the easy stuff, right? Yogi Berra, if you guys don't know who that is, catcher, Yankees, he said baseball is 90% mental, 10% physical. So if that's the case, then we're working 10%. We're working on this 10% physical as the first one. So what is that? That's weight room. Weight room, conditioning. Excuse me if I misspell something. I'm flying right here. So physical, weight room, conditioning, and then you got reps on the field. So you got hitting, fielding, pitching if you pitch. I'm not really talking to pitchers. I'm a hitter. Hitting, fielding, base running, right? Because that is important, and I'll circle back to that in a second. So weight room, right? Now you are not a bodybuilder. Okay, and I feel like that's how most people get introduced to the weight room nowadays, because things like TikTok, Instagram, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So we are not a bodybuilder. What are we? Athletes. So how should we train like athletes? Now, I just made a tweet today, and I was like, if you want to figure out how to work out or, practice or become a college athlete, you should look at how college programs train. Most people have social medias nowadays, so you can go on Instagram, see, how they train, how they practice, become an athlete. So what is an athlete? Athletes are fast. Athletes are strong. Athletes are mobile. Fast, strong, and mobile. Now, we can break that down further at another point, but that right there, fast, strong, mobile. Okay, that's the key. Weight room, as an athlete, as a baseball player, fast, strong, mobile. Okay, conditioning. What does that mean? I do not mean run 5 miles. We are not track athletes. Okay, whatever, you get it. What we are is, depending on who you are, where you play. High schoolers up north, I know we play about 20 to 30 game seasons. Okay. College athletes up north, I know we play 40 to 50 games. Down south, I know they can play, plus 60. I get that. So what is conditioning? Conditioning is being able to withstand a season. So yeah, we are fast, strong, and mobile, but our conditioning must make us able to withstand 50 games, 40 games. If you're in high school, 30 games. Okay, my senior year, I started and played in 44 out of 44 games. I trained with the intent to do so, right? Again, we can break that down in a further video, but right now I'm just laying out the triad. So first, physical, weight room, conditioning, hitting, fielding, base running. This is how we attack such. Now, hitting, I have on my website 4 corners of fundamentals and the 5 transformational pillars of hitting. Now, you combine all in, you're going to spend about $40 on these. $40. So we buy Evo shields, we buy leg guards, elbow guards, new bats, whatever gear you might buy. And this gear we might buy, gear we're going to spend 100 plus. 100 plus. So what is $40 for some infinite knowledge that lasts you forever? Okay. Point I'm getting at. So 4 corners of fundamentals, 5 transformative pillars of hitting. That's what made me go from good player to all-American player at the Division III level. I laid it all out in 2 books. Okay, that's what I did. But hitting, fielding, base running, what you got to understand here is that you don't bench press every day, so you shouldn't hit every day. You don't do lat raises every day. You don't do, med ball slams every day, so you shouldn't field every day. But you should do these things more than you don't, right? So if there's 7 days in a week, you should be doing these at least 4 days a week, right? And that lays out what? Our physical first pillar of the triad, right? So as I erase this, the reason I'm creating this is because I feel like people are misguided, right? We just know that baseball, we got to hit, so we hit. We know that we got to pitch, so we pitch. We know that we got to field, so we field. But we don't know the secret recipe. We don't have guidance on what combination of things we have to focus on to get success that we want, right? And I was just having this conversation with a kid the other day. I'm like, it's easier to focus on one thing or, a handful of things than it is to focus on, say, everything at once, right? That's obvious. So that's why, hence, I made the triad, right? The triad is the three things. What's easier to focus on, 10 things or 3 things? I'd like to say 3 things. That's why I made it. Now, round 2, mental. So we got physical, then we got mental. Mental is mental reps. Okay, what is mental reps? Visualization. You got visualization, you got, meditation, and you got confused right there. Tough reps. Okay. So visualization, you have to visualize that you are the guy. You are the guy that you think you can be, right? You have to see that beyond what's in the physical world. You have to see that beyond what people tell you, what coaches tell you. So you have to see that beyond what coaches tell you. You have to see that beyond what your parents say. You have to see that beyond physical world. Okay? You have to see that beyond the physical world. Why? Because it's not there yet. Okay? When I wanted to be the best player I've ever become in my life, if I want to have the final season, my best season, turn into All-American, if I go and tell any of these people right here that, they're going to, they might give me a little bit of confidence. They might semi-believe me, but they're not going to believe me as much as I can believe who? As much as I can believe myself. And that's from visualizing. That's from, I can do this. I see myself doing this. I used to visualize myself getting to second base, right? I used to visualize myself getting to second base. And I used to visualize my double celebration. And it wasn't crazy. I used to just visualize the feeling of hitting a double into the gap and seeing myself on second. And I'd visualize that, hitting home runs, the feeling of becoming a champion, the feeling of consistent execution of my processes, right? Again, if you were looking for the processes, 5 pillars of hitting on my website, that's key. Second, meditation. Now, you might be thinking these 2 things right here seem taboo or spiritual. And in a way they are, okay? They're off the beaten path. They're not the normal things that people talk about when it comes to baseball, but they are key. Meditation, what does meditation do? Lowers anxiety. I'm a high anxiety person. I might have misspelled that. I'm a high anxiety person. I often think of a lot of things. My mind moves at 1,000 miles an hour all day, okay? And people often told me that, that's a bad thing. Think less. But obviously I was 22 before I came an All-American. So I had 22 years of thinking fast all the time, constantly. So I'm like, let me use this as a tool I can use. Okay. So what did I do? I started meditating. One, meditation lowers your anxiety, but it also lets me think. What do I love to do? Because I do it all day. I think. So it can let you think, right? Lower anxiety and allow me to visualize the player that I want to become. All right, become. That's the word. You want to become. Before you can be, you must become. Okay? And then once you see how far, you can turn around and see how far you've come. Okay? Become. Last but not least, you got the tough reps. Tough reps. What are tough reps? Tough reps, off the top of my head, machine BP. Tough reps, what are they? Facing tough live AV pitchers. What are tough reps? Tough reps can be anything, you have between you and your instructor one-on-one, where like if you fail this, then you lose the opportunity to do something, or, you make the refs tough. You simulate real in-game situation. That's what you're doing with tough reps. Okay, but the key here with tough reps is that it is not physical, fundamental as our goal. What our goal is enhancing our mind. So what is hard about machine BP? It's hard to hit machine BP. Why? Because it's hard to time, right? But you shouldn't really be focused on fundamentals. You should be focused on timing, right? It's like swinging with a donut. Swinging with a donut. When you swing with a donut, you swing with more weight. You take the donut off, it feels easier. When you hit machine, feels hard. You get in the game, feels easier. Facing tough live AB pitchers, right? There's a place locally that you can train by me in Buffalo that if you are an athlete, you should probably train there if you're a college athlete, because that is like the mecca. You face tough athletes. You face tough pitching. You can go there as a D3 hitter and face a D1 pitcher as a D3 hitter. Why would you want to do that? Because when you go and face D3 pitching, the D1 pitching will make it feel easy. That's the donut effect, as I'll call it. Okay, the donut effect. Tough reps, meditation, visualization. Now, the mental part is definitely going back to the Yogi Berra part. The Yogi Berra quote, 90% mental, 10% physical, right? That is what carried me from a good player to an All-American player. Okay, no doubt about it. That's what took me to the next level, and that's again why I laid out all of those things in the 5 transformational pillars of hitting on my website. That's literally everything, almost everything, that made me an All-American hitter. But the last thing, right, we got physical, we got mental. The last thing that ties it all together is belief. Belief in what? Belief in your physical reps. Belief in your mental reps. All right, you could have, I like to use this analogy a lot. You could have the most beautiful, you like my picture of a flower here, beautiful swing, picture perfect swing. But if you don't believe in it, it means nothing, right? You could have the best tools. You could be 5-tool player. Okay, 5-tool player, fast, strong, hit for power, hit for contact, good fielder, good arm. You could be a 5-tool player. But if you don't believe that you're a good player, you're capped, right? You're capped as far as what your success will lead to, because it's grueling. It's grueling. Seasons are grueling, okay? They're long, 40-plus games. As a coach a coach I play for, roller coaster of a season, right? You got downs, you got ups, you got downs. But what you want to do, and what I try to do, was turn that roller coaster of emotion into this, right? There's still ups and downs, but they're minimal. And when you play like this, you can play at a higher level, constantly, right? So if I were to draw this on a graph, right, you have ups and downs. But if I play at this level, say I play at this level flat, I could play right here the whole season, right? Whole season. And how do I get this belief? This belief comes from knowing that I did enough work to see fit, right? I trained 5 days a week. I practice my hitting, fielding, base running 4 days a week. and I trained hard. Don't have anxiety that you didn't do enough. You did enough. You trained hard 9 times this week, right? That's great. I know that I meditated, maybe just twice this week, but that was enough for me. Right? I realized that I was visualizing every night before I went to bed my perfect season, my all-American season, whatever that means to you, right? And I realized that I did a lot of work. Okay? So when I look at this, when you get to the end of the week, I'd advise you to write your week down. Write your previous week down. Why would you do this? Well, what you do when you write your previous week down, like I just did here as an example, right? I realized I worked out 9 times this week, 5 days a week training, 4 days a week baseball-related training. I meditated twice this week, and I visualized before bed every night. What that does is when you sit back and realize that can lower anxiety and up the confidence. That right there is a recipe for success. Because when you lower anxiety and increase confidence, that builds the foundation that you need to continue, okay, and become the best player, okay, on that hill, everyone wondering how you did it, okay? So again, that takes that anxiety away and builds that confidence so that eventually when you become, right, you can turn around and see how far you've come, right? That's part of the becoming process, right? So again, to wrap it up, and again, if you haven't liked this video as you're watching, I'd greatly appreciate it, because I feel like more than anything, this needs to be shared with the masses, because I think athletes are held back nowadays. There's too much to focus on, or too many distractions, not enough good stuff to focus on. Everyone just kind of goes through the motions, but if you can reel it in and focus on the triad, right? The triad, the physical, the mental, the belief, and you tie that all together, you will become the best player you have ever been. I appreciate you guys watching, okay? Appreciate you guys watching Undiscovered Prospects on all platforms. And stay tuned for our next whiteboard educational video. Thank you.